The studio lights blazed down on Jimmy Fallon as he bounded to his desk, his grin wide and electric, his energy a jolt that sparked the room alive. The audience roaring their welcome with a fervor that shook the walls, a wave of noise that promised a night of laughs and chaos. Across from him sat Conan O'Brien, the lanky comedy titan with his shock of red hair, his posture loose but his eyes sharp, a glint of wit flickering in them, a guest whose presence carried the weight of late-night legend, his hands resting easy on the chair, ready to spar. The crowd, a blend of Fallon's loyal fans and Conan's steadfast followers, clapped and shouted, their anticipation a thick pulse, their voices rising in a crescendo, eager for the clash of Fallon's goofy charm against Conan's dry, cutting edge, a showdown brewing under the surface, one that would erupt into a heated clash and leave Conan storming off. Fallon scrambling to turn the wreckage into a win. Fallon kicked things off with his usual flair, his voice bright and bouncy. "Folks, we've got a legend tonight, the one and only Conan O'Brien, here to spill the beans on his latest comedy special." His words laced with a giggle, a nod. To the crowd that drew fresh cheers, the room buzzing with nostalgia for Conan's wild reign over late night. Conan smirked, leaning back. "Oh, Jimmy, I'm here. Spilling beans, plotting world domination via podcast, you know, the usual." His tone dry, a jab at himself that landed sharp. The audience laughing, some hollering, their affection for his humor a warm thread weaving through the set, a shared memory of his battles and triumphs. Fallon grinned wider. "World domination, huh? Still rocking that hair like it's the 90s, Conan. You never change." His quip playful, teasing, a light poke at Conan's iconic look. The crowd chuckling, the mood breezy, a dance of banter that felt effortless, at least for now. The chat rolled forward, Fallon steering toward Conan's new project. "So this special, heard you filmed it in a bunker, just you and a mic, dodging the late-night ghosts?" His question tinged with a giggle, a wink to the camera. The audience, lapping it up, their laughter a steady hum, a cozy blanket over the night. Conan nodded. "Yeah, Jimmy, a bunker's the only place safe from network suits. They can't sniff me out there." His reply crisp, a dig at his past that drew roars, some clapping, their love for his edge slicing through, a nod to the wars he'd waged, lost, and spun into lore. Fallon leaned in. "Speaking of suits, man, that Tonight Show saga, you versus Leno, what was that chaos like? The ultimate late-night drama?" His tone still light but probing, a spark in his eyes, a question dangling like a live wire, begging. The thought? Was this just a jest, or a fuse ready to blow? The air tightened, Conan's smirk fading, his fingers tapping the armrest. "Oh, Jimmy, you're digging into that vault, huh? The great late-night train wreck of 2010? His voice low, edged, a hint of steel slipping in, the audience murmuring, some laughing nervously, others leaning closer, sensing the shift, the tension coiling fast and fierce, a spring wound tight. Fallon giggled again. "Come on, Conan. It's epic, you, Leno, the showdown. Who wouldn't want the scoop?" His words breezy, blind to the line he'd crossed, the crowd's buzz splintering, cheers mixing with gasps, the room tilting toward something raw, something real. Could Fallon dodge the spark he'd lit, or had he just set the stage for a blaze that would burn the night down? The air in the Tonight Show studio thickened as Fallon's words hung there, his giggle fading into a nervous echo, the crowd's buzz splintering further, a jagged mix of cheers and uneasy murmurs rippling through the seats, their eyes darting. Between the host and Conan O'Brien, whose fingers now gripped the armrests, his smirk replaced by a hard line, his gaze narrowing into something fierce, a storm brewing in the quiet. Fallon leaned forward, still grinning. "Seriously, Conan, that Leno mess, it's the stuff of legends. Give us the dirt. You know you want to." His tone pushing, playful but oblivious, a nudge that landed like a shove. The audience tensing, some laughing, others holding their breath. The room a powder keg with a lit match hovering close, the warmth of the night curdling into something sharp, something ready to snap. Conan's voice cut through, low and biting. "Oh, Jimmy, you're really gonna drag that corpse out, huh? Dance on it for a cheap laugh?" His words a blade, slashing through Fallon's charm, his eyes flashing, a raw edge spilling out, the crowd gasping, some chuckling nervously, others falling silent. The shift seismic, a chill racing through the set, the banter turning into a brawl no one expected. Fallon blinked, his grin twitching. "Hey, man, it's just a bit. You're the comeback king, people eat this up." His voice rising, a scramble to keep it light, his hands flailing. But Conan leaned in. "A bit, huh? Your bit, my scars. You think it's funny?" "I don't," his retort a growl, unfiltered, the audience erupting, some cheering his fire, others stunned. The clash bursting wide open. A wound reopened in a blaze of fury. The room a battlefield where laughs turned to shrapnel. The fight surged, Fallon's hands waving faster. "Conan, come on. I didn't mean it like that. You're a hero, I'm just riffing." His plea shaky, his giggle gone, replaced by a desperate edge. The crowd's noise swelling, boos clashing. With shouts, their loyalty fracturing. The air heavy with a tension that pressed down hard. A storm breaking over the set. Conan's jaw clenched. "Riffing? Sure, Jimmy. You riff, I relive it. You don't get what it cost, you never will." His words a torrent, his hands slashing the air, accusing Fallon of turning pain into a punchline. A late-night war that had carved him hollow. The audience roaring, some clapping, others gasping. The chaos a live wire sparking wild. A showdown that burned hotter with every breath. A fire Fallon couldn't douse. A blaze Conan wouldn't let die. The breaking point hit like a thunderclap. Conan lurching to his feet, his chair scraping back with a screech that sliced the din, his voice booming. "I'm not your clown, Jimmy. I'm done with this garbage. You want a circus? Run it yourself." His hands tearing off the mic, the cord whipping free as he glared, his red hair wild, his fury a tempest that shook the studio. "Have your laughs, I'm out." His footsteps pounding as he stormed off stage, the crowd's silence shattering into a swell of gasps and cheers. Fallon left gaping, his hands raised. "Conan, wait! Hold up!" His voice cracking. A futile cry swallowed by the wake. The exit a jolt that rocked the set. A clash that had flared bright and fast, leaving Fallon alone in the wreckage. A night flipped upside down, a challenge he'd have to face, with nothing but his wits and the crowd's fading roar. The crowd's roar faded into a stunned, jagged hum as Conan O'Brien's footsteps echoed off stage. The Tonight Show studio left trembling in the aftermath. The lights harsh against the set, the air thick with a mix of shock and restless energy, their gasps and murmurs a fractured pulse that bounced through the seats, a sea of faces caught between awe and unease. Their eyes locked on Jimmy Fallon, who stood frozen behind his desk, his hands still raised, his face a mask of disbelief and quick flickering grit, his breath shallow as he stared at the empty chair, the mic dangling like a broken promise. A host thrust into a storm's wake, a night derailed by a clash that had burned too hot, too fast, now his to salvage, a triumph he'd have to forge from the chaos Conan left behind. Backstage, the frenzy erupted, staffers scrambling through the wings, their headsets crackling with urgent whispers, their phones lighting up as Conan's exit sent ripples racing. He'd blown past the green room, shrugging off a producer's plea with a sharp wave, his coat flapping as he growled under his breath, his voice a fading snarl as he hit the exit. A man who'd bared a scar and walked away unbroken, his fury a fire that wouldn't fade. Word spread like wildfire, insiders muttering Conan had been coiled tight from the start. Pacing before the taping, his nerves raw from Fallon's knack for poking. The clash a spark that had caught on old wounds, clips already exploding online. "I'm done with this garbage." A viral flare, some fans cheering his stand, others reeling, the digital storm swirling. But the spotlight swung back to Fallon. The set his battlefield, the crowd his jury. A moment to sink or soar. A test of his heart in a night turned raw. Fallon shook off the daze, his instincts kicking in, his voice cutting through the hush. "Well, folks, looks like Conan's got a plane to catch. Guess I hit a nerve, huh?" His tone a blend of sheepish charm and steady wit. A lifeline that drew a ripple of laughs, soft at first, then bolder, the audience exhaling. Some clapping, others nodding. A thread he pulled to reel them back. A host refusing to let the night drown. His hands steadying as he leaned into the desk. The tensions, loosening, a spark of connection flickering alive. He didn't linger on the clash, didn't poke the wound, instead weaving it into a riff. "Man, I thought we'd talk comedy, not start a late-night rematch, my bad." His chuckle a bridge, mimicking Conan's mic toss with a grin. The crowd's laughter swelling, their cheers rising. A wave he rode with ease. A recovery that turned a fracture into a story. Conan's blaze dimming under Fallon's glow. A shift that felt earned, not forced. A lifeline they grabbed together. The mood lifted, Fallon pivoting smooth, his voice brightening. "Okay, let's shake that off. We've got a game up next. You guys in?" His question, a hand extended, his grin warm, disarming. The audience roaring back, their applause a surge that crashed through the studio. Some standing, others shouting. A collective release that bound them to his hustle. A triumph carved from the rubble, not over Conan's fall, but in the show's rise. A seamless turn from chaos to joy that needed no regrets, just rhythm and heart. The segment flowed on, the crowd's buzz a steady pulse, their faith renewed, some swaying, others beaming. A night that had teetered on collapse now standing tall. Fallon's command a beacon, Conan's exit a shadow, the set alive with a victory. He'd pulled from the fire, step by deft step. A host who'd turned a blowout into a breakthrough, the break looming as a pause in a tale already won. The break faded, and the Tonight Show studio surged back to life. The lights bathing Jimmy Fallon in a warm golden sheen. The crowd's energy a vibrant roar that swelled through the seats. Their earlier unease now a faint memory. Their cheers, a thunderous tide that crashed against the walls. A salute to a night snatched from the jaws of chaos. A victory pulsing in their applause. A shared triumph that lit the room. Fallon stood at his desk, his posture relaxed, his grin broad and real, his eyes shining with a quiet fire. A host who'd faced Conan O'Brien's fiery walkout and turned it into gold. The audience locked on him, their hands clapping, their voices rising, eager to see how he'd close a show that had danced on the edge and come back stronger. A tale of grit and grace unfolding in real time. A win forged in the heat of a clash now cooling into something bold. Something theirs. Fallon didn't lean on the drama, didn't drag Conan's exit back into the spotlight, instead riding the wave with a warmth that filled the space, his voice steady. "Well, folks, we've had a wild one, huh?" Conan spiced things up, "but we're still rolling. You with me?" His chuckle a spark that reignited their glow. The crowd laughing, some whooping, a release that bridged the night's fracture. A host turning a storm into a story they could carry. His hands gesturing easy, his charm a thread that wove them tight. The clash a whisper fading under his light, a pivot that kept the show alive, their buzz a heartbeat that thrummed through the set. A night reclaimed not by dwelling but by doing, a rhythm they followed with every nod, every cheer. The digital storm raged on beyond the walls, clips of Conan's "I'm done with this garbage," and Fallon's quip flooding online. A viral blaze that split the chatter, some hailing Conan's raw stand, others lauding Fallon's deft recovery, the noise amplifying the night's reach. A saga stretching far past the studio. A tale told in bites and shares. Conan's camp stayed mute. No words to quench the fire, while Fallon's team watched the numbers soar. His bounce back a hook that stuck, a victory sealed in the moment. The chaos a stepping stone to his shine. A narrative that landed clean, crisp, real. On stage, Fallon ushered in the musical guest, the band's lively strums washing over the room, a buoyant current that lifted the crowd, their bodies swaying, their applause a steady pulse, the night's sharp edges melting into a glow they could feel, a close that wrapped tight and true, a win born from hustle, not hype. The clock ticked down, Fallon taking his final bow, alone under the lights, his presence a steady flame that held the space with effortless command, his voice rich with thanks. You guys are the best. Thanks for riding this with me. Hit that like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more crazy nights. His call a natural end. The room exploding in a standing ovation, a roar that shook the rafters, a tribute to a host who'd flipped a meltdown into magic. Step by steady step, the cameras sweeping wide, catching faces lit with grins, some buzzing, others beaming, all tied to a night that ended sharp and bright. Conan's shadow gone. Fallon's triumph. A blaze that burned clear, the screen fading to black. A perfect cap to a show that soared, a nudge to join the journey. A legacy of heart over havoc sealed in their cheers.